going on?
Sanders, what's going on?
It's Megamaid. She's gone from suck to blow.
What? They're getting all their air back. Do something.
Do something.
Do something!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and recently the man himself, Brian Michael Bendis, went on Newsarama, and he had a pretty big, somewhat substantial interview talking about Superman and some of the directions that he's taking the series. And here to talk with me about that today is the Superman super fan, Dylan from The Real Comic Book Gamer. How you doing, buddy?
I was doing good before I read this interview.
So he's been kind of in the media lately. I guess recently he did like a podcast or maybe a YouTube live video session with Superman Smashes a Klan writer Gene Luen Yang. I personally didn't watch that because I knew I couldn't stomach it, but you gave it a whirl.
I watched a little bit of it. I watched about 5-10 minutes of it, and the only thing of note I can really say that really pissed me off was he was talking to Gene, and Gene was talking about how there had been some controversies with his run, and it was mainly with what I did with John. I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, so if anyone takes this too literal. He said something along the lines of, there are a lot of people that hated what I did with John, but those people didn't read the book. There's clearly two camps. There's the people that read the book, and they loved what I did with John, and then the people that didn't read the book, and they hated what I did with John because they didn't even read the book, trying to act like all the people that didn't like his book were just ignorant and didn't actually read it, which is completely false. Sadly, I did read a lot of his run, and it is terrible, and what he did with John was awful.
Yeah, I've read the whole thing. I've done multiple videos on it, actually, documenting all the stuff that he did with John, and it was terrible. Not only did, obviously they ruined one of the best comics in the entire industry in Super Sons, but just the weird stuff that he did with John and the way that it portrayed Superman, Clark Kent as a father, and even Lois Lane as a mother and wife was just awful. But obviously the trauma that he put on John to age him up just so we could send him off to the 31st century eventually to be in a Legion of Superheroes, when all he really needed to do was just have his Legion of Superheroes and come up and pick up John when he was actually 17.
Yeah, seriously, time travel. That's all he has to do. They don't have to age him up. You can just do that in Legion of Superheroes. Be like, hey, the year is 2027 or whatever, and then just have him pick him up there. It would have worked perfectly, but he doesn't get that concept. It's just, I think with this interview and with a lot of other things that we've seen with Bendis, it's clear that he isn't capable of taking criticism. So that's why he has to push it off. Obviously, everyone that didn't like the book didn't read it.
Oh, I certainly didn't. I have a litany of issues with it. Just the way that he portrays John Kent does not align with anything that we've seen from John since Rebirth, and I believe he was basically a brand new character at that point.
Yep.
So that didn't line up. Oz showing up, Jor-El showing up, didn't line up with what they were doing in Rebirth. Superman not intervening and letting John go with his psychotic grandpa certainly doesn't make any sense. Lois deciding she's going to skip town and join him because she needs a story, and then exiting the space mission halfway through because she wants to go canoodle with Lex Luthor while John is with his grandpa and then gets stranded on a planet and tortured by evil versions of his parents for 7 years. What's not to love, Dylan? What's wrong with you?
Terrible. That was the weirdest part of that book, was when Lois left John with their psychotic grandfather that she doesn't even know anything about. And the rationalization of the book is, John's 11 years old, but he's basically a man now. I saw him make a decision for himself once. That was the complete rationalization. That is, if you saw that in real life, that's the worst mother ever. She leaves her 11-year-old son in deep space just so she can get back and write a headline. That part was just among a terrible book, that stands out, which is saying something. It's such a weird moment.
Yeah, it is saying something. When you can actually pinpoint something as being worse than the rest, you found, the creme de la creme of the crap.
Exactly.
So let's get into this interview, because he actually says quite a bit that I want to get to. Now, apparently, in the upcoming Superman run, he's going to be introducing 2 new characters. Let's talk about the first one first. He says in Superman 23 and 24, we have a brand new character who we reveal is the original Lord of Chaos, who has not been seen or heard from in a millennia. Now, he's already sort of done this with the new original, Destructor of Krypton with Rogol Zar. Of course, the Lords of Chaos, little bit kind of a different set of characters, but this is going to be apparently the original like Lord of Chaos, where all that stuff sprung out from. How do you see this going well?
No, I don't. You can tell Bendis is kind of up his own butt with this when he's talking about. He's like, "Oh, we're building a new character from the ground up, and this is like some niche DC character to show how much I know about DC Comics." And it's just like you said, he's done it before. He even did it, even though it wasn't an original character. He brought back the original Manhunter for Leviathan to be like, "Ooh, look at this old like sort of niche DC character that I'm bringing back." He's doing it again now because Bendis doesn't have any original ideas. I don't see this going well. It's just going to be another terrible Bendis creation.
Oh yeah, I see this absolutely being Rogel's Art 2.0. It is just a complete monumental failure. I guess you're right. I guess Manhunter is Rogel's Art 2.0. This is going to be Rogel's Art 3.0. Yep. The third time he's trying to revive an older character in DC lore and just likely fails miserably. Obviously, maybe he will have changed his stripes and hit this one, out the park. But based on the last, I don't know, 8 years of evidence, I just don't think that he's got it in him.
I don't think he does either. Hopefully, if he tries to do anything Rogolzar-esque in terms of story, he actually reveals something, because at the end of Rogolzar, it was never revealed if Rogolzar actually did it or not. We were let on for like 14 issues of like, oh, don't worry, in that next issue, you'll find out if Rogolzar actually destroyed Krypton. And then you never learn if he actually had anything to do with it.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not looking for good things out of that. I will probably put myself through the pain so I can review it here on the channel, but I'm not going to probably enjoy that. So there's another character that they're introducing as well, and he says in issue 25, and it feels like 25 must be like a quadruple-sized issue because nothing happens in a Bendis Superman comic, but apparently everything's happening in issue 25, so it's going to be 140 pages and probably $17. He says in issue 25, we debut a brand new cosmic threat to Superman, invented by myself and Ivan Rice. So the good news is Ivan Rice doing cosmic stories is bound to be amazing. One of the best artists when it comes to cosmic style stories in the world. The character's likely to look cool, but I don't see him pulling this one out either.
Yeah, just any type of original Bendis create. It really sucks because it's kind of just like both bad scenarios. You don't want him to take an existing character and ruin them, but then you don't want him to add a new character to the universe because they're going to be awful also. It's just, he should just go off and stop writing comics almost. But yeah, I don't see this going well at all. Ivan Rice has been consistently great, though, forever. He's awesome. Even as terrible as this book has been, Superman has been consistently one of the best-looking books whenever Ivan Rice is drawing the issue. So, yeah, like you said, it'll look cool, but, man, I don't have any faith in how this new cosmic being will be as a character.
And one of the weird things is all the brand new characters that he introduces, not only are they floss, but they're almost always redundant. And basically just new versions of old characters that are already in the lore.
Yeah, but he's got to create new characters just in case if there's a movie or something, they want to look at more newer stories, so that way they'll use his original characters in that movie or something like that. That's what it seems like. Because, yeah, like you're saying, there's already those existing characters, but he's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to bring basically an updated version of that character, my version, and give him a whole new name.
Let's talk a little bit about issue 25. I guess it's leading into the King of Earth story, if it isn't already there already by that issue. And he says this is pretty funny. There's this tape of Superman just earnestly saying, hey, I'll represent Earth. To most people, they'd go, oh, yeah, great Superman. Thank you. Who else if not you, right? But other people would be like, excuse me, you're not even human. Who gave you permission to do that? So it's an interesting argument about responsibility that is very, very specific to Superman and his world.
It's just it's so stupid. Like, but the vast majority of people, of citizens in the DC universe, like Superman and would not be going, oh no, he's not human, we don't want him. Well, maybe within this new Superman continuity with Bendis writing, maybe they would hate Superman because he did reveal that he was lying to them the whole time he was Clark Kent, and he's still being Clark Kent, and he was cheating being a reporter by being Superman. Maybe that is something that they would they would hate him over that. But aside from that, it's so stupid, like this storyline. Also, it's stuff we've seen in other comics dozens of times, and now he's going to do it like it's all original. It's his new idea. We've never seen anything like this before.
So, do you think like the DC universe, like that Brian Michael Bendis is writing, is so meta that even the folks in Metropolis have caught on that Bendis' Superman sucks, and they're going to revolt on him? That would be interesting.
I'd believe that, because imagine that, like, you have this big hero and you have Clark Kent, that's sort of a star reporter, people know him, he's a guy known for hard work, he comes from Kansas, and it's revealed, oh yeah, all that was fake because he was Superman, so he was able to do all this stuff the whole time, and now he's still going to keep his job and still be on salary as Clark Kent and the Daily Planet and writing stories. Like, is that not like the biggest douchebag alive? Is that not someone that you'd be like, yeah, I don't like that guy, it doesn't seem like a hero to me?
You make a good point. So let's move on to the next thing that he's reintroducing another character, and this is one that a lot of people will know. Lana Lang is the special science liaison to the Daily Star, and she's been assigned to deal with the Clark Superman story, and that will unpack starting in Superman 25. Are you excited for him to bring Lana Lang back into the fold as the special science liaison?
Not at all. I like Lana Lang as a character. I think she's a great character, but to me, she works better as like just being in specific arcs. I don't like her being in an ongoing Superman title. I prefer it to just be, oh, Superman goes back to Smallville or something like that, and he runs into Lana Lang. Because a lot of other writers have done this before. Like, she's taken over LexCorp and stuff, to where they try to make her a mainstay character. And I prefer it if she's only in certain arcs. Like, okay, she's in these 6 issues, and then we don't see her again for like another 20 issues. And instead of, okay, now we're just going to add her to the cast of characters for Superman. I don't think she works as well with that, in my opinion, but especially when Bendis is writing her, I think that definitely won't work, and he's just going to do some other crap where they're like, look how he ruined Lois and everyone else in Superman's life, he's just going to ruin Lana as well.
Yeah, that's one of the ongoing trends of the series, is all the stuff that you've been reading before this, and this is all supposedly in continuity. Like, none of the character stuff makes any sense anymore. Obviously, with Oz, Lois Lane, John, like, none of the characters feel correct. People that know what happened with Lana Lang before this, are they even going to recognize the character anymore? When this happens? Likely not.
Yeah, probably not. It was really weird, like what happened during Rebirth with her and like New 52, Lois Lane. They were like, they had superpowers. It was a little odd, and now she's coming back. So I don't even remember what happened to her last time. I just remember last time I saw her, she had like superpowers, and now she's coming back.
Special science liaison.
Yeah.
All right, so Bendis is promising to break even more new ground with Superman by introducing I guess he's getting a counseling session with Dr. Fate, and we're going to explore how Superman's vulnerable to magic. Shocking stuff. Didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, that's what Bendis was saying in the interview. He's like, surprisingly, so many writers just avoid the whole magic thing. Everyone just thinks kryptonite, when magic is used all the time in so many Superman stories. But again, Bendis likes to think he's the most original man on the planet. So it's like, I'm going to delve into magic. And then just the whole therapy thing gives me Heroes in Crisis vibes. Remember how those are the worst part of that terrible book a lot of the times was the therapy sessions, where it was just the characters. Yeah. And they were just saying the dumbest stuff. I feel like it's going to be that again, except with Bendis this time. Right? Superman will just say some stuff that, like, some things, fears that he never had before that don't make sense. It's going to be weird. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be that terrible Bendis dialogue. Imagine how bad that dialogue is going to be. You're going to have Superman sitting on a couch with Dr. Fate there, and then you're going to have these enormous speech bubbles just filled with Bendis speak, and it's going to be awful.
Man, I hope we get a panel with Clark Kent, Superman looking straight ahead, just deadpan, saying, "What's the American way anyway?"
Yeah.
It's only what you've been fighting for your entire existence.
Yeah. Poor Hal.
That panel still it chaps my ass. I'm sorry I had to bring it up here, but
yeah, at least Grant Morrison gave him a little bit of trouble over that. I like how he threw some shots at
pretty good in those Green Lantern, like, Dark Stars. I think it was the Black Stars miniseries.
Yeah, and in an interview, he even commented on it. He's like, of course, Hal. He's like, I was reading Heroes of Christ. He's like, of course, Hal knows what Will is. He's been using it his entire Green Lantern career. He uses it every day.
Yes, it's what he uses literally to fight.
Yep.
All right, so those were kind of the big points that Bendis went into as far as Superman. He did make a couple other points that I thought were interesting. One of them kind of gives us an idea of what DC Comics were doing during the pandemic, where everything was shut down and new comics weren't being delivered. And this is what Brian Michael Bendis had to say about this. DC was really cool about keeping the trains moving, and the idea was to stay on schedule so we won't be running up against deadlines like we were. So we use the buffer time to give us some more buffer. This is actually really good news, and I'm glad that he said it that way. It looks like DC kept the train running, like Bendis said, and they have more issues out, so they won't be running up against deadlines, and we probably won't have delays and things like that.
Yeah, I think that was a great idea by DC, especially because how many times have you been buying a book and it's got a great artist on it, and then suddenly 2 or 3 issues it just goes to this artist that isn't even close to the caliber. Yeah, like and it's just like it throws you off. But imagine what that would do to a new reader that's enjoying a book, and then suddenly like 2 or 3 issues in a row, it's just subpar artist. Now not having to go to that or not having to deal with delays would be really nice to like continue getting those like Ivan Reis type guys to keep going on the books.
Mm-hmm. And he also Newsarama asked him if his stories would start mimicking real life issues. And he had this to say, you know what the world needs? More hope, not more pandemic. So nothing in my book has that pandemic feel. That is really good news. I don't think that I want to read about a pandemic in any comic book for at least 5 years.
I agree, especially because like that's all anyone's been consumed with for the past couple months is just a pandemic. That's all anyone's been thinking about and dealing with. So I think it's a smart idea on him to not try to play that up. One of the few smart things Bendis has done since he got to DC is not try to add some real world pandemic stuff into his book. I think that's a smart choice by him.
Yeah, he even mentioned that I think he said for 8 issues in a row on Superman, there were no scenes inside. So he thought maybe that could have happened subconsciously because he's been trapped inside. It wasn't all bad. Like I said, he gave us a little update on what DC's been doing during the pandemic. He's not including pandemic stuff in his Superman stories. So that's all good news, and I'm glad he kind of clarified that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, you haven't been reading Legion of Superheroes. I've been reading a little bit, and it's really hard to get through. And he had this to say, and I'm gonna see if we can sell you on it. This is what he had to say. Oh, we have so much excitement in the Legion. We have a 2-issue surprise coming up in Legion. I can't wait to show you. And then it goes on to explain number 8, number 9, craziest things that we've ever attempted. And it's all coming together. I can't wait. Are you ready to jump on board the Legion of Superheroes for issues 8 and 9 and the craziest thing that he's ever attempted?
No, not at all, especially because he's already done a bunch of crazy stuff like the things you listed off earlier, what he's done with Superman's run. So to think he's going to do something even crazier, man, I don't even want to know. Is he gonna make John Superman now? Is that going to be his big crazy thing? Now John is officially Superman. Age him up even more so that way he's not 17. Now he's like 25. I'm not interested in that at all. That scares me more than it interests me.
All right, well, I did what I could. Brian Michael Bendis, if you're watching, I tried to sell Dylan, but apparently your words weren't swaying him on the Legion of Superheroes. I'll probably check it out just to see if I can stomach it, but we'll see how that goes. Dylan, thank you so much for joining me, talking about this interview with Newsarama, and then filling us in with the what part you did see with this conversation with Gene Luen Yang. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Bendis' Superman run before we wrap this up?
Just that I really hope that after watching that interview, I really wish someone would ask him about what he did with Oz, what he did with Jor-El, because what he did there makes no sense considering at the end of the Oz effect, he takes Dr. Manhattan takes Oz and just makes him disappear. And then he just shows back up and no one is confused about him showing back up. Everyone's like, hey, Grandpa's here. And it makes no sense. Like there's no, like the continuity there doesn't make sense at all, especially because even in this Newsarama interview, he mentions Tomasi and Jurgen's run like he's read them, but he clearly has no clue what happened during that. So I wish someone would ask him about that. If anyone meets him at a con in like the future, please ask him. I would love to see that.
And if you ask him, make sure you pull out your phone and record it.
Yes.
And I agree with you. He might have read Jurgens in Tomasi's runs, but I don't think he respected him if he did.
Not at all.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.